be negated, but that was then, that was this morning, this is now. mTw Team Dynamic going into game number 1, and mTw will have the option, first ban, first pick. There goes the Urgot, and then immediately there goes the Karthus.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, that's me.
So Urgot is Urgot has been really shown to be an absolute threat there in the bot lane. The range is just a bit too much, and it's just, it speaks to where the meta may be going. You know, tank comps, tanky body out front, and it's not, Urgot bot lane is not really designed to just, you know, push or try and get those, you know, granted the kills can absolutely come, but it's when a team fight phase comes in, so you just, you can't focus the guy. You just can't do it.
Yeah, he's just a strong all-around champion. He can wreck a lot of AD carries, so just the fact that you have the initiation and you can, you know, swap back into AD carry or just be super tanky, it's just all around a really strong pick. I was kind of thinking we might see a Jax ban, but I was telling Mr. Nicholas Allen outside from, you know, LOL Update Community News, if you haven't seen it.
Very excited,
I was telling him that we have to see the Urgot ban for mTw because Zig on Dynamic has just been playing such a fantastic Urgot recently. And Urgot in general is just honestly one of the more OP champions in the game. He's just absolutely ridiculous. There's not a whole lot of ways of dealing with him. You saw CLG versus Absolute Legends. They wanted to go Ashe, but they really didn't have the room for that pick. And if you think about it, there's not a lot of champions where you're like, oh, they picked Urgot, well, let me pick this character and I'll win. It's like, no, you just pick a character and you do what you can. But so we'll have to see. You know, banning out that Urgot was necessary. That's stage 1. Stage 2, picking up the Nocturne. So, you know, we don't have that tanky DPS. We'll have the Nocturne for the initiation. We'll have really strong jungling as well. Will work out pretty nicely, but we do see a lot of the favorite champions for Dynamic are going to be available. We have the Graves, one of the strongest ADs in the game currently. We're going to be able to pick up like a Riven if we want. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Riven. Lee Sin, actually. I was kind of thinking we might see a Riven because you can, you know, send the Riven in the top or in the jungle. And just, we've seen so much aggression from them.
Well, a lot of Dynamic's favorite champs are open. A lot of mTw's go-to champs are actually banned, Alistar being one of the big ones. Alistar support is just one of the biggest parts of mTw's, like, you know, few early games. You know, so it's not too uncommon to see an Alistar with a very aggressive AD, just for mTw to kick off the series, to try and establish themselves as the aggressor in the series as a whole. But Vladimir is still open, and Vladimir has been picked for quite often for mTw as well, so that should be a pretty solid top lane, or even actually a mid. This is still pretty early on.
Yeah, and so the big thing, I mean, it'll probably be a top lane. We do see the Leona, and so Leona definitely works well with Muffin Cutie's skill set, is that kind of aggressive, you know, bot lane. But the big thing is with the Vladimir, it's versus Lee Sin most likely. Lee Sin could be in the jungle, but it's probably going to be a top lane. That's going to be a pretty even matchup. We actually, grabbing the Jax. So Jax is going to be top and Lee Sin in the jungle. And now Jax versus Vladimir. That's interesting. So Vladimir has the range advantage, can be kind of aggressive against Jax early on, will have that advantage. But then there's going to come a point where Jax is just going to be so aggressive, has so much kill potential, it's going to be really difficult for Vladimir in that lane. And so we'll have to see how that kind of works out. Whether or not we see that pick, but right now mTw, they're kind of working into that standard double AP comp with the Sivir bot potentially that they really like. We'll have to see. It is always a fun lane to go against, and Sivir works well against Graves and Taric because you look for that kill aggression, you have the spell shield, you have the burst to jump back onto Graves with Leona, pick up some kills. Corki would also be a really strong choice, so you know, we'll have to see. There's a lot of options for them right now, but the Jax pick, absolutely a monster in that top lane. We'll see how they handle it.
But here's the thing, not so sure yet where Vlad will be. Maybe top, maybe bot. Maybe top, maybe mid. He could be bot if he really wanted to.
Bot. I'm looking forward to it.
It is mTw. Anything's possible. Okay, Vlad could be top or mid, but Lee Sin and Jax, they are interchangeable. You know, top lane and jungle, and just on their own have very good synergy. But you know, depending on the rest of the comp for mTw, we may see there may be a switch between Jax and Lee Sin, top lane and jungle. And there is the Sivir, who was waiting
I want
to see
the Karthus is banned.
Karthus is banned, but
Morgana would work very well. Same thing with Ahri. Ahri and Morgana are definitely strong picks here.
So it is a little bit of a toss-up, but mTw, I was waiting I was waiting to see the Sivir pick because it's worked extremely well for them.
They might want to go Kennen and send Kennen up top. Malphite actually works, so this is interesting. We'll have to see how this works out for them.
Yep.
Now, I was thinking that they needed to ban Jax coming in, and we'll see how that kind of works, but Jax and Lee Sin is just such an aggressive combo. We talk about it all the time, and Jax, he's got the damage. He's just so strong top lane. The shields help each other so much. It's very survivable. Now, Jax versus Malphite. This is really interesting because we are going to be sending Vladimir mid. Like you said, Malphite top versus Jax. Jax has a nice little chunk of burst damage, which will be able to pop the shield. However, his follow-up damage, we have the attack speed slow from Malphite. Malphite is actually pretty strong at the top lane against those kind of physical bruisers. So we'll see Jax pop the shield, then Malphite throws off the attack speed slow and chases him down a little bit, gets some free damage, and could, make that a very even lane matchup. Then as we get to level 6, we have the killing potential with Nocturne, with the Malphite ultimate, with the Ignite. We're going to see a quick kill here. And Vladimir in the jungle. That just makes sense. No, actually he's backing off Nocturne top. So that's a little bit surprising to me. We have seen Nocturne top before, but I'm not really sure how the Nocturne versus Jax matchup is going to go.
Oh, there we go. No, we got it.
Yeah, okay.
We got to switch. But I would imagine if Nocturne were to go top, it's just, hey, looks like a good opportunity for Jax to jump in, or, good quick reaction time. Shield. Could be.
It's just the follow-up is too strong. So I feel like Jax would just abuse Nocturne. But regardless, we're not seeing it in the jungle, or we're not seeing it top lane. It is going to be a jungle, so we will be safe. But this is a very strong comp that Dynamic likes to run. They've got a very tanky team. They have Ryze. Yep. Ryze and Lee Sin is a great pairing in that mid lane. You have the snare, you have the follow-up damage. Lee Sin can easily pass over those blue buffs. It is going to be very safe. They have a lot of single target bursts, so Ryze gets the snare. You're going to be very safe. Here's the issue, though. mTw going with the Malphite pick, and we've seen that work for them in the past. It is a very aggressive pick. We have a heavy melee team for Team Dynamic, and even if Graves and Ryze aren't melee, they are pretty short range. So if all of Dynamic kind of groups up, that's going to leave up the opportunity for the Malphite into the Leona, into the Vladimir, so the triple combo, be able to pick up those kills, and that's going to be extremely aggressive. Now, top lane, Malphite versus Jax, as I said, it should generally be pretty even. Jax has the advantage in that lane as the game progresses, and is just so aggressive, but Malphite, naturally, he's going to have so much damage mitigation against Jax, and the attack speed slow is going to prevent Jax from being able to abuse him. And so I'd really like to see this as a potential counter to Jax. I definitely think that it works a lot as this matchup. As the game progresses, we have a lot of AoE. We have killing potential to just initiate, focus them down, but we also have some disengage potential with the Sivir, and that's what we've seen a lot. Sivir having the pushing potential, but also having the disengage, can kite very effectively, and then also can stall the game. And when we've got a short-range team like Team Dynamic has, they don't have a very good pushing team, and as a result, Sivir's going to be able to clear those waves very easily and stall out the game if it gets to that point.
Not to mention, I expect Malphite top lane to possibly stack a few GP10s, because I feel that against Dynamic's team, Malphite might actually benefit quite well from building a Randuin's, and this has been seen before with the initiation that mTw's done before. Nocturne ults in, followed up by the Malphite, and then pop the Randuin's in the middle of the entire enemy team, and it works out so well. But in the meantime, you need GP10s in order to get to the item build. Heart of Gold is a part of Randuin's Omen, so I think it would only make sense to also get a Philo Stone, get the extra health and mana regen, and it's also not uncommon to get a Philo Stone top lane anyway for the extra sustain so you can stay in lane longer. And and then if all that harasses from Malphite is going to be going on to Jax, he's going to be using quite a bit of mana. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and it works very well with his kit. The one concern with going the gold pretends on Malphite is how fast he's going to need to get armor against Jax. And Jax is just going to be dealing so much damage. He's going to want to rush out a Ninja Tabby. He's going to want to get some early cloth armors, and so that might kind of delay that build a little. But if he can get it, if he gets off to a good start where he can get those gold pretends, he's going to be sitting pretty. We do see, though, Dynamic trying to maybe get engaged. They're probably going to come through this bot Tribush and then re-engage at the red buff. So if they can deny that red buff from Nocturne, that could be awesome. But if he starts over at blue, we have the ward up by the race. He could probably steal that here, actually, because it's Sivir and Leona. They don't want to allow them to have those golems, so they will be safe there. Oh, we'll see whether or not Vladimir gets caught.
Well, just barely, just moving out of positions in the wrong time, and Dynamic And just a matter of happenstance, we'll be able to swoop on in from behind to the Wraith's area, drop down a ward to be safe, wave from Lee Sin, checking the bush just to make sure no one is nearby. And Jax will recall just so he can get to top lane on time to start farming. But Balls and Mandatory Cloud will go ahead and take the large Wraith away from Lee Sin. So that will be a nice little surprise, but Dynamic has actually taken a little bit more from enemy territory than mTw has stolen.
Yeah, one nice thing about this ward here, not only is Nintendo going to be able to steal this red, that's going to hurt Nocturne's jungle a little bit. We do have the reset, but it'll be a little bit. So not only is he going to steal this red, but Nocturne, because Leona is here watching, Nocturne can run up into the race, and we'll be able to go up there. We actually have Tarek and Zig here coming onto Atlanta. The Ignite, he does have to flash out of there, so kind of unfortunate, but we have the flash from Zig as well. The Exhaust, one more attack can do it. The first blood onto Zig, really getting himself out of position. That is just devastating. So what I was saying about this ward, so now because Xmithy comes here, they see him on the ward, they know that he's not counter jungling and he's not ganking top. So Lee Sin knows, okay, my top red is safe. I can go up there, you know, it will be fine. And Jax knows, all right, I can play offensively because I know Nocturne is bottom.
Yep. So, but just a little bit unfortunate that the kill on Atlanta went down so early. Good credit on the flash, though. Those the most distance you could possibly clear, but the offensive summoners from Dynamic got the exhaust. And the exhaust is really what did it. Otherwise, would have been able to get away. And Sivir, not the fastest move speed,
it was
really. But it was just bad positioning.
It was kind of weird. It was weird positioning. I mean, Sivir recognized that they were coming up that way. Getting himself caught out, I think he was trying to get the fastest route back, but really just caught out of position. And so a huge early advantage. We do see Jax doing pretty well in this top lane, but he is out of mana early. Nocturne actually coming in, though, and we have the exhaust from Leona onto Pixel. We have the fear as well. Get some nice burst damage. They're going to reciprocate the favor from earlier, picking up the kill onto Xmithy.
And you saw Pixel actually running, just trying to just go towards the enemy tower, knowing just to keep Zig safe. Is like, I'm doomed. Don't go near me. You will die as well. The wave from Nintendo.X forcing Mandatory Cloud to pool. Losing a little bit of health just having to do that, but better to lose the health from the pool than a Lee Sin in your face.
And he was able to steal the blue, so having the blue Wraith there, you know, that definitely helped him. He's coming down for the Wolves as well. He sees the ward, and actually with the ward, he saw that Nocturne started going south for the Golem, so he knows he's perfectly safe to just come in, steal these Wolves. Really nice counter jungling from him. And so far, top lane has been fairly even, but you see Jax losing out in the long run. He doesn't have that kind of sustain early on. He doesn't have enough burst to deal with Malphite, and that's the big thing is Jax doesn't have sustain, and he can't, you know, just kill Malphite like he would other champions. So it is a pretty even lane top, and then we'll see whether or not Malphite can be aggressive once he hits 6.
And, you know, good call for Malphite, initially buying the Cloth 5-pot for the extra armor to have the resist, and here comes Nintendo dashing on in, shielding a friendly minion just to get the positional advantage. The wave and the follow-up kick onto Balls will do a little bit of hurt. It looks like he may just go back and buy. Jax, when he went back, bought himself a Doran's, a ward, and 2 more health potions, so extra damage, extra health, and the vision could always be a good thing. But Zion is pushing pretty aggressively top lane, so just wants to make sure to get a ward down and have advanced knowledge if anyone's coming up, especially Nocturne.
Yeah, and so we see Nintendo trying to push down this top wave, deny some experience from Malphite. Unfortunately, he's really only going to deny like 3 creeps. If it hits this cannon minion, then that'll probably be worth it. Oh, he gets there just in time. So he's going to have a level advantage over Cyan Spartan, actually. So Jax missing out on that creep wave that was going to push back to him, and fortunately Malphite able to get up here in time. So Jax actually going into the jungle because he knows he's a little bit behind Malphite at this point, and Malphite can shut down those bruisers top if you get an early advantage. He is going actually first for the Ninja Tabby. So the Ninja Tabby, definitely a good decision. You want to get that armor against Jax, you want to get that damage mitigation so that you can then exchange your damage very effectively. Whereas on the other side, Jax going with that Doran's wants a little bit of health so that he doesn't have to worry about quite as much damage from Balls.
Gotta talk about Atlanta right now because Sivir doing what she does best, and that is pushing lanes. Does not even need the support from the rest of his team in order to get the push onto Zig. The Boomerang Blade does tons of damage on its own to help clear the wave, and baiting the stun out from Pixel, easily able to shield it, and when you successfully shield something with Sivir that is free mana, Balls and Zion Spartan get a little bit too hasty with themselves. Jax does flash away to safety, but here comes Nintendo. The wave, the ult out of the way of the wave, but Nintendo does flash to try and get the Tempest into slow, but the flash away in response. Balls will be safe, but just barely.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, he was really close to being able to pick up a kill on Jax, and that early advantage would have been huge, but forced to use both his ult and his flash to get out of there. So Nintendo with the nice aggression top will help protect Jax. So basically babysitting the lane right now. We do see Nocturne and Lee Sin both trying to get an engaged mid. Nintendo going to be the first to pop, though. We have Paradoxical a little bit far behind, so he's not going to be able to get in, but actually turning back onto him with the ultimate, he's going to be dealing plenty of damage onto Paradoxical, but unfortunately Nocturne is only level 4. He doesn't want to just dive in on that, so Paradoxical will be safe getting out of there.
Safeguard onto Rise just to ensure they get out of there, but will be fine for the time being. Pixel getting a lot of damage down, and Zig is going in for the kill. Wants to get either Muffin Cutie or Atlanta. Will deal with significant damage to both and be healthier in lane for the time being. Will Atlanta actually finally go back and buy, though? Yes. Going back by 2 Doran's Blades. Quite a bit of extra damage there, and there Nintendo is back into the mid lane. Mandatory Cloud does not get hit by the slow and pulls away from the wave. Will be fine.
Yeah, and it should be an interesting matchup in the mid lane. We see once again Nintendo just being really aggressive about stealing whatever jungle he can, always around the map. As the game progresses, Vladimir has the sustain advantage versus Rise, and we'll be able to kind of bully him around a little bit with that. Unfortunately, though, Rise also has the kill advantage over Vladimir. So Rise, 1v1 situations, once he has enough mana, once he gets maybe even some Catalyst, he will be able to just kind of chase down Vladimir, be able to pick up kills if Vladimir is not safe. So Vladimir wants to have the long range, the long laning phase, just have a long harass and sustain in order to use your regen advantage. And then Rise, as the game progresses, tankiness versus Vladimir. Vladimir has a little bit of a range advantage. We'll be able to be a little bit safer in fights, whereas Rise needs to be a little bit more upfront. And the big thing is, because he's that short range and we have champions like Malphite, we could see Rise kind of going down in those mid fights. But now we're starting to see Jax with the damage potential actually coming onto man balls here. He has to use his ultimate to get out of there. And that's the issue with Jax, is that at a certain point in the game, he's just so aggressive, you can't lane against him. He just picks up kills easily, or he bursts you down so easily that you have to just back out, and you need that ganking pressure in order to pick up kills. They know with the Malphite ultimate and with the Ignite, they have a lot of killing pressure. Unfortunately, the early wards and the Lee Sin pressure won't allow Nocturne to get up top. Yeah,
I fear that Nintendo's focusing a little bit too much in the mid. All he does, he comes in, throws a wave, Vlad pulls the end. Malphite did go back earlier, got 2 cloth armors. In addition to Ninja, he's already got the ult from Leona, Muffin Cutie, and the ult from Nocturne. Nintendo just gets caught out a little bit too far out. That is a free dragon for MTW. Everyone's already here. There's not a whole lot Dynamic can do about it. So top lane, though, Jax still getting the advantage onto Malphite and just pushing like crazy. There's not a whole lot Balls can actually do about it. Already a level behind, but there is a dragon will help mitigate some of the gold loss.
Yeah, and so they are pretty even in gold. Jax only slightly ahead. Will throw off the stun, get some nice burst, take down that shield. But you see, with the armor, he is generally safe. The issue is the follow-up, and as long as that shield is down, he is going to be taking a lot of damage. Gets the attack speed slow, prevents some of that damage. But he really needs a gank top, and they need to be able to shut down Jax. As the game progresses in the mid-team fights, they have enough CC and damage where you can, hopefully take him down in Malphite ultimate. Unfortunately, once Malphite's ultimate is down, you are going to drop, and we actually see the flash from Zig. He will get the ultimate. One more hit is going to do it, but he just cannot get in range. So Sivir, Atlanta going to be able to get out of there.
Yep. Now, the key is a gank top needs to happen, but it needs to happen before it's too late. Balls is just barely keeping up with Zion Spartan, and the mana use just to get the skills off to in order to make even exchanges is dwindling. So Nocturne needs to start traveling up top just a little bit, but then again, there's not a whole lot Nocturne can do to Jax. Nocturne can ult in, Jax just throws on the dodge, and just a lot of Nocturne's efforts is really for naught. So
and
yeah, it's a little bit, it's a toss-up.
The big issue that MTW is going to be facing as the game progresses is the fact that without the Malphite ultimate and the Leona ultimate, they are kind of light on instant CC. So not having that instant CC where you can just, shut down Jax. If they can bait it out, then, in the longer fights, then Jax and all of these, late game tanky characters are going to easily win those fights as long as they can survive through the ultimates. And that's definitely something that's mTw is going to want to watch out for. But we will see some nice pushing presence from them a little bit later in the game, as we've always seen with the Sivir play. You can, drop towers very quickly and then have the disengage and be very safe as well.
So there's the Heart of Gold for the Malphite, a little bit extra health, and the GP10. So a little bit far away from the Randuin's Omen still. The Warden's Mail still needs to be bought, and there's an extra cloth armor in the inventory as well. Not quite sure what the... I mean, usually,
Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart uses 2 of them, but even then, that's still required the Glacial Shroud. So and I think the Randuin's Omen may benefit.
He just needs some early cloth armors to get some of the damage. We actually have the kick from Nintendo. We have the ultimate from Manballs. Going to be able to get out of there once again.
So Lee Sin's kick is actually on cooldown, so that actually did get used earlier. So
no, he just used it in the fight. He kicked Malphite.
Yeah, I did. So he kicked. I thought he was about to kick him again. What am I doing? What am I thinking? But yeah, Zion Spartan with the aggression from Lee Sin in the jungle is just still continuing to take a commanding lead in their top lane. Atlanta with the farm 82-85 farm is still pretty even bot lane, and the items pretty much identical as well. So eventually, if Zig ever does leave lane, or if the jungler is spotted top lane or mid lane, that could be the cue. But there's the Ignite on the Malphite, does flash away. Ignite will not be enough. The turret shot going down to Zion Spartan gets him ridiculously low, but here comes Nocturne. Ult is up. Xmithy could go ahead and dive in on this.
Unfortunately, he just doesn't quite have the vision range. Drops a ward, actually, to try and see if he can pick him up. We do have Pixel here trying to see if he can bait out the shield. And so, a lot of times against Sivir, because the Jax is so easy...
Jax is back top lane. There goes the fear onto Paradoxical. He's going to be spinning around for a second. Exhaust going down onto Ryze as well. The Vlad ult whiffs. Ryze flashes away to safety, but this does allow mTw to push up a little in mid and increase the pressure in other parts of the map. But Nintendo down bot lane, waiting in the bush, waiting for a moment to get the jump onto mTw. They may be a little bit unaware, and now Atlanta's caught out a little bit too far. Pixel throwing the exhaust down onto Atlanta is very low. Nintendo is there. Can he get the Wave Kingdom damage? Last bit of damage onto Atlanta go down. No, they're looking to dive onto Muffin Cutie. Ignite going down.
Actually, they won't play by Muffin Cutie.
Nice. They won't actually be able to get either of these kills, but they got to be careful. Oh, the Boomerang Blade trying to clear some more of the creeps, but Dynamic knows this isn't the best option for them. They're going to go ahead and back off. But meanwhile, Nocturne and Vlad securing the blue on the enemy side.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Sivir versus Taric, they're actually trying to engage on this. Muffin Cutie trying to see if he can get a stun. Maybe he will have Nintendo actually gets the stun. The shield quickly over to Taric does get him out of there, so we're not going to have the follow-up. Sivir versus Taric. Taric, you have, a pretty obvious indicator when you have the stun coming. You see this dazzling, little thing coming towards you. So it's so easy to throw off the shield to do it. So a lot of times as Taric, you kind of want to bait it out. And with Graves in particular, you can sit there, just run at Sivir, start dealing damage to Sivir, and Sivir either needs to, use the shield and just get out of there, or we'll sit there and take free damage. And so you see Taric kind of chasing after him, throwing off the W to get a little bit of damage against Sivir, try and burst the shield, or just bait it out. We did see the block, though. Atlanta with the really nice timing, holding on to it, just that kind of patience, able to get it off. And so right now, all the lanes are pretty even, but we are seeing a slight farm advantage in the favor of Dynamic, because in this bottom lane we have Graves, there's the aggression. Top lane, we have Jax. Malphite doing pretty well, so far in that lane, but even so, the lane advantage, and then mid, generally pretty even.
But mTw did grab the dragon not too long ago, and actually should be coming back up in the near future. So there is a 1K lead for mTw. It's nothing too huge, but it's something that they could continue to extend. They've secured dragon before, maybe they'll do it again. Now Balls and Zion Spartan just dueling once again top lane, and every single time they duel, Jax just wins with just a little bit more life. And eventually, in the near future, with some help from Nintendo, Zion Spartan could just be able to take out Balls outright, and later on without any assistance at all. But ward's going down in front of Dragon once again. It is up. Dynamic looking to see what they can get from this. Ping's going down at the enemy blue. They know the general area about where most of the dynamic is, and it is by the blue wolves and mid.
And the big thing with the Malphite versus Jax, Manball is actually doing a really nice job keeping this game really even. And so, you know, he has been keeping up with farm for the most part with Zion Spartan. He does have a lot of damage mitigation, so in fights, his primary goal is to shut down the damage output of Graves and Jax. And he will have that attack speed slow that is going to hurt them a lot in those fights. Right now, you know, he hasn't been able to kind of get any kills. He hasn't been able to slow down Jax's farm, which is an issue. Right. So Jax has basically been free farming. But even so, Jax hasn't been able to bully him out. So a lot of times you see Jax not only free farm, but you know, just completely shut down the farm of the lane as well. And you know, Ball's doing a pretty nice job in that top lane. But
the important part on Balls here is that he has not given away any needless deaths here. Has not died at all. Maybe a little bit inactive, maybe giving Jax the opportunity to free farm a little bit, but hasn't died. Has not given up any additional XP. Just absolutely for free. And that's, if you're losing lane like this, that's at the very least the best thing you can do is just not die. You need to be a little bit more cautious though, because there is no tier 1 turret top anymore. The wave being shielded away by Atlanta, and Nintendo will have to walk away from this one.
Yeah, and so they will be pretty safe in this bottom lane. Atlanta doing a pretty nice job farming, and I don't know, there is the Graves advantage, but even so, he's kept it pretty even. And the nice thing about this team comp is they have great initiation, they have great team fights, they have great pushing, but they can also stall the game very well, and they can disengage. So they've kept it even. They have a slight gold advantage because of the dragon earlier, and just, you know, because the farm's been generally pretty even. So it is, I don't know, they are putting themselves in a position to succeed. And a lot of times you'll see, all right, well, let's hold back for a second. We know we don't need to go for aggressive kills early because our mid game is going to be so strong. We can try and win it in the mid game and see what advantages we can take there. We do see Nocturne kind of shying towards this bottom lane. He knows, generally speaking, that Malphite is extremely safe up there, so if there's any kill potential with Leona, they can go for it. And since Lee Sin has spent a lot of time bottom as well, he's ready to help his team out if they go in.
There is a ward in the Tribush, though, so Dynamic knows where Nocturne's about Nocturne's whereabouts. I'm looking to see, possibly Muffin Cutie could benefit from getting the Oracles. There are quite a bit of wards in the inventory of Dynamic still to be placed. It may be in the best interest, or even, you know, Pinks may not even be that effective anymore because there are so many wards. But there is the one ward in the pit. If we put it on the inside of the lip of the dragon pit, it could have been gone undetected, but the big ward will die. And Dynamic is still looking to hover around dragon, waiting for their opportunity to grab it.
Yeah, and now we're actually seeing some of that burst damage, Jax versus Vlad. I thought that Tarek and Lee Sin could have gone on it, and they actually are. So they were kind of sitting there for a second, seeing if they could bait in mTw. If mTw came to defend it, now the team's all here. They're going to pick up this dragon really easily. It's going to be a nice gold advantage. In the meantime, Malphite should be able to take this top lane. He's sitting back for a second, though. He doesn't really know where anyone is. Okay, there, his team is telling him, hey, get back there, push that lane. So he's going to, you know, that'll be a nice little advantage. One of the nice things about Vladimir mid is that as a jungler, you can hold onto your blues. So you see Nocturne picking it up, and that does help him continue to be a fast jungler, and he is farming pretty well, out-farming Lee Sin with it. But the snare onto ManCloud, he will be right in the middle of the team. We have the Leona ult right on top of Zion Spartan. He has a lot of AoE, actually has to back out of there. The flash from Paradoxical will get out of there. Unfortunately, they don't have the follow-up damage, so actually Manlanta chasing him down. How many kills can he pick up? They are very low. The stun will get him out of there. We do have Graves picking up bot lane in the meantime.
Quite unfortunate. If that was shielded, we could have gotten at least a kill or two, but Manballs is still around, being a bro, trying to go in from behind the tower to see if anyone was stuck a little bit too far out to try and recall, but in retaliation, mid-tier 1 will also go down. But yeah, good engagement from Dynamic. Just team of 4 is like, hey, we're all here. Let's just swoop in, take the mid. Got vision on Malphite top, got vision on Sivir bot. There's not a whole lot they can do. That's how they took Dragon in the first place, so they might as well just go pressure to the mid. So come on in. Only Vlad's there to defend. Nocturne was not too far behind, but displacing Sivir, displacing Malphite, it took them time to get there. Plenty of time for Dynamic to do what they needed to do.
Yeah, we are seeing that Vladimir is particularly well farmed right now. Malphite also has a lot of damage mitigation. He has those gold pretends to go with his farm, so he's doing pretty well, and actually has the Frozen Heart, so that's huge.
Oh, look at the rest of Dynamic.
Just take it down.
They're already going for the Baron, and this is what Dynamic is known for, the ridiculously early Baron. Zion Spartan is in the mid, trying to be the nice bait that he can be, distracting the rest of MTW while the rest of the team takes Baron. But Zion Spartan could leap strike through the rest of his team. There he is, and there goes the Baron. And now MTW knows, oh, so that's what they've been doing the rest of this time. That's where the rest of the team was.
Yeah, and so that's just devastating to lose that early Baron. We do see Manlanta is going to be able to push down this bot tower. He will be able to pick that up. So, some nice map control. Now, one of the nice things about their team, like we said earlier, is the fact that they can counter pushes pretty easily. Sivir in particular, she has the ability to just kill waves so quickly that you can just stall these pushes. And because we don't have very good pushing champions as far as poking down the tower, Graves, a little bit short range, would risk the Malphite ult. So we will see Sivir kind of being able to stall the pushes. And so as a result, right now, Dynamic can't really push down any towers. For the most part, they're going to run around trying to see if they can pick up any advantages or just prevent MTW from farming. We could see maybe a split push from Jax, since Jax is so strong at this point. But for the most part, the team will stay out of it unless they decide to just absolutely, dive the turret. And that is a potential. They have enough damage, especially if Malphite's not going to be here. So they really need Malphite here in order to, stop this push.
Dynamic is also known, not only is Dynamic known for their very aggressive pressure on Baron very early in the game, they're also known for the devil-may-care attitude when it comes to taking objectives like turrets and are not opposed to just diving completely recklessly and offensively to go for kills and other objectives. But sometimes, we've seen it in the past, it can backfire on occasion. But you know what, Dynamic, they've been starting to change up their game plan, and it's been shown earlier on in the qualifiers. And they're a little bit smarter now, they're a little bit more experienced, and I think they know just a little bit better. So, but we may just see a nice, calm, easy split push. Jax is definitely capable of doing that as well as Lee Sin. You may just see both of them take a lane or two. Saw it before during the M5 match not too long ago. Jax, Lee Sin. I call them the Super Bros. They're certainly capable of it. And there goes the fear onto Jax. And the Malphite ult coming down. And it will hit Lee Sin and the Leon up to ult to follow up. Nintendo is quite low. And here comes the Nocturne ult, bringing down the Vision, who's being focused down first. Mandatory Cloud is being caught out a little bit too far, but there is a Zonius keeping him safe, and Zion Spartan is now getting very low, will be the first one to fall. Zig also getting very low, but Muffin Cutie is being caught out a little bit too far, and Dynamic will be able to grab this tower, albeit without Jax, but you know what, that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised by MTW right now. Sivir, not really sticking with the team, and so not only is Sivir not able to clear out the waves and, help anti-push, we actually see Paradoxical is perfectly fine with tanking that for a little bit. Not only is Sivir not stalling out the pushes, but she wasn't there for the most part of the beginning of that fight. And so that fight was very close to being a win for MTW. They almost picked up a number of kills, and for the most part, Sivir wasn't in it. We only saw really one boomerang, like 2 auto attacks maybe, that entire fight from Sivir. And when you consider the spell shield, Sivir does have pretty short range. They did buff it a while back. But, I think she's a little bit concerned about the Jax and the Lee Sin kind of jumping onto her.
Yeah.
But with the spell shield, she should be okay. And regardless, the team needs her damage. And so Malphite with the engage only onto Lee Sin, a little bit surprising. Trying to see if he could pop up multiple people. Unfortunately, he only hits the one. And just not really, the best coordination, which is something we've seen, a great coordination usually from MTW. They're just kind of a little bit out of their element right now, but we'll see. For the most part, they have stalled this push. Baron going to be done before they get a chance to push any more turrets, so they do have their inhibitors still. We do get the top tower as well, so we'll be able to stall, and we'll see how these upcoming fights go for MTW now without that Baron.
But in the meantime, Sivir has gotten quite a bit of farm, and actually now has the level advantage on Zig. It's just once the Baron buff goes down, then things will be a little bit more even. But I think MTW knows that one of their biggest advantages going into the late game is Sivir, and Sivir needs to be sufficiently farmed. If Sivir was in the rest of the fights with MTW, it could have gone severely wrong because Atlanta knows that he's going to be focused. He was a pretty big prime target for the ganks earlier on in the game, so he knows he needs to survive, he needs to stay alive, and get sufficient farm. I don't disagree with Sivir being so far away from the team. I don't quite agree with it either because there were the opportunities for a kill, and they know Dynamic can sometimes be a little bit reckless, but it's we'll have to see. But the gold, despite all of that, is still quite even, and the Baron buff is now gone too.
Yeah, the Baron buff is gone, so We'll have to see. I still think that they could have, defended that one second turret, so they didn't need to lose the second turret. They probably could have won that fight, but regardless, they are very strong at this point. We do have a lot of damage reduction from Malphite, so that's going to help prevent a lot of the damage that their team is trying to do. We do have Vladimir extremely farmed at this point, so he's going to have all that nice AoE damage, which they're all basically clumping up for. He has the Frozen Heart, or the Zhonya's as well, so he will be pretty safe. If they try and dive onto him, he can just use it, disengage. And, Sivir, again, is going to be extremely strong as well. So we'll have to see. They have a lot of advantages going for them. The only issue is that Ryze and Jax are extremely well fed. Graves as well. So we have 3 heavy damage dealers from Team Dynamic that mTw is going to have to deal with, and it's going to be pretty difficult. But we see Xmithy coming up here, has the Oracles, will clear out any wards. They do have a little bit of vision here, so they'll see him walking past. Won't allow a free Baron to happen once again. It won't be up until about 28, so or actually close to 29. It was like a 21 to 22 minute Baron.
Yep. The Frozen Heart is on the Malphite, but like I mentioned at the top of the game, I would feel more comfortable if it was a Randuin's Omen, just because the active could actually do quite a bit against the team. And here comes the Nocturne ult. Where's the focus going to be? Is going right onto Paradoxal, and there is the Malphite ult to follow up. The one to take out the Ryze, one to take out a huge chunk of the damage, but balls will actually fall before mission can be accomplished. Nocturne goes down as well as the Sivir, and now Dynamic is in quite the advantageous position here. Pixel is ridiculously low, so is Paradoxal, but they managed to kill 3 members of mTw. Minion wave conveniently approaching, and they should be able to pressure down this tower. And immediately after, they can go for a Hib, but Baron should also very conveniently should be spawning up right as Dynamic is about to leave mTw's base.
Yeah, it's going to be up in about 1 minute, so they get the inhibitor. They're going to have enough time to recall, buy some items, be full health, and then come right to Baron. So they're going to roll recall and then go immediately to Baron. They have that potential, and with the huge advantage that they have over mTw right now, mTw trying to find their opportunities. They're not quite as organized as Dynamic is right now, and so you saw that last fight. A big issue was that a lot of ManCloud, he wasn't able to get a lot of the damage that he would like to. We do see, though, they are coming up here. They are pressuring this Baron. Zig is bottom, actually, so he's recalling.
Yeah, if there's
he is a little bit behind.
If there's an opportunity for mTw to take Baron, this is it. Everyone from Dynamic is either too far away or has backed, and now the Dynamic swarm is slowly making a beeline for it. Graves is in the back of that line, though, but Pixel is not too far away, albeit half health. The wave from Lisa not getting anything. Ward goes into the pit just so he can get vision, and Paradoxal is swarming on the outside. We got away for his team, and Malphite actually gets in with the engage just to try and curb them off, and Paradoxal should be actually going down pretty quickly. The ult from Vladimir is doing a little bit extra damage on everyone, and the engagement happened before Zig was in the fight, but here he is now. Zhonya's going down on a mandatory cloud, but should not be doing all too much. And now that Zig is here, the clean-up crew, Dynamic, has taken this fight 4-for-2. Man, Atlanta, can you get away? I'm not so sure. Here comes the Jax, the Leap Strike, and the stun. All the damage we need, and there's Zig to finish it off for the ace.
Yeah, and with that, there's going to be enough time for them to take this Nexus if they decide to, and they really should. So
we will
see Dynamic winning game number 1 of the IPL5 Qualifier Finals against mTw. So mTw, we've seen a lot of nice play from them. It was a really strong team comp that they have been trying to run. They've kind of run it in the past, but not quite able to make it happen. A lot of it was the discoordination, though we do see, actually, they're going to be able to stop this. We have the engaged. No, there goes the
Zion's
Nexus.
Spartan.
Doesn't matter. He is able to pick it up as that all-powerful Jax late game. And so we do have game number 1 going to them. We'll see, how they try and negotiate game number 2. I think that their team comp was probably solid. There's just some, miscommunication issues.
Yeah.
And then I think, we'll probably see the Jax ban. I thought we should have seen it game 1. I think coming into game number 2, it's probably a safe pick.
There was, I think, a lot of miscommunication, and mostly on the part of Atlanta, because especially with the first blood, even taking the short way around, trying to get back to lane. It's a little bit of carelessness, and even then in the team fights in mid, Atlanta was just away from the rest of the team, farming out. Just was just not with the team. Malphite, I said it before, I think the Randuin's Omen would have been a little bit of a better pick instead of the Frozen Heart, because the active could have done so much, in case, especially in the instances if they wanted to run away from these fights, which often they did.
Well, I mean, the active is very nice on Frozen Heart, or I'm sorry, on Randuin's Omen. Usually you want to go for both, and Malphite, it is very common to build that Frozen Heart. It's just an all-around strong item. It gives you that tankiness. Unfortunately, Malphite going down a little bit faster than he expected to.
Yeah.
They just had a little bit too much burst, and a lot of it was just that they were behind at that point. But the Frozen Heart is a little bit of a stronger item on Malphite. You see someone like Nocturne going with the slow. He already has a slow. He has the active from his E, so he has the active already, pretty well taken care of. It's just the on hit that really helps him out a lot. And the cooldown reduction in mana is huge on Malphite since he needs that kind of spamability. But regardless, both very strong items. We'll see what happens coming into game number 2. We will see how they try and negotiate this game and what kind of ban differences we see.
Yep, Dynamic is 1 game away from qualifying from IPL5. They managed to do it at IPL4. They could do it again, or MTW can just go ahead and take the next 2 games straight out so they can get the first qualifying spot. Who knows? We're going to find out. We're going to go to a quick break. We will be right back. See you soon.